We have reports coming in tonight that Atlanta United may have pulled out of the 2017 MLS season. This follows rumours of their stadium construction being behind schedule, a lack of funds to maintain the club in the coming years, and a growing scepticism over the potential fan base in the city.
Rumours are surfacing of an unlikely candidate for Atlanta United's Eastern Conference spot, with an as-of-yet unnamed Jamaican-based businessman launching a bid to set up a new franchise based in Jamaica, making it the first outside of the US and Canada to ever play in the league. The commissioner is said to be on board with the idea of a Jamaican team as part of the MLS's bid to grow its brand outside of the USA. Whilst the news comes from concerns from other US franchise owners and their fans, it seems the agreement may only be days away.
A deal has been signed and a new team takes its place in the MLS. Kingston Sprint have today been announced for the 2017 season. The Jamaican club will be based in the country's capital and initially use the Independence Park Athletic Stadium for home games. As part of the agreement, the Sprint will set up an academy in the USA and a second in Jamaica that will initially compete in the domestic second division, only using under 23 players. Many hope the move will benefit the country's national team in the long run. It's been revealed that the Sprint will not take up a USA North American Champions League spot and instead will fight for one of the 3 Caribbean spots in the competition through the Caribbean Club Championship.
What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to the introduction to a brand new series here on my channel. This is The Race with Kingston Sprint. And, this is going to be a new series starting here on my channel, of course, in Football Manager, that is going to be running alongside the Hereford series. So, hopefully you guys are going to enjoy this. It's going to be something very different to what I've done before. In some ways, it'll be slightly reminiscent, I guess, a little bit of the Gibraltar save, which we did last year. So, if you didn't quite follow the intro, which I hope you enjoyed, it took quite a while to do, here we are at Kingston Sprint Football Club. It is an MLS franchise established in Jamaica, which enters the league at the start of the 2017 season. So what you can actually see going on in the background is actually all the drafts and stuff. And of course, if you're not familiar with MLS, if you've not managed in America in Football Manager, it's a very, very different experience. You know, there's trades, there's drafts, there's all these new concepts, which, you know, they're not necessarily associated with your traditional football management. So if you've never played MLS, hopefully you're going to enjoy this. For me, myself, I've done a little bit of kind of play in the MLS. I wouldn't say I'm 100% up to speed with it and kind of completely understanding of everything, because there are a lot of unique rules, but I feel like I have a pretty solid understanding. And over this series, we're going to be trying to take this club, establish them as an MLS side that can hopefully win the Supporters' Shield, which is, of course, the playoffs. Yes, this has playoffs like American sports. But I also want to try and achieve continental success. And the way we're going to do that is through the North American Champions League. And, well, the way that we qualify for that is through the Caribbean Club Championship. And then going on to that, we'll go into the group stage. Now, most years I expect us to reach the group stage. But a big challenge for us is going to be the fact we are guaranteed to meet either an American or a Mexican side in the group stage, which is going to be a big challenge for us. And hopefully you guys are going to enjoy this little adventure that we're going to go off on. So as you can see in the background, you know, I've got the Super Draft, the Expansion Draft, the Waiver Draft as well. I imagine for some of you, all foreign concepts, they're going to be explained in this series as we go through. Of course, with this being the first episode, I just wanted to kind of bring you guys up to speed, explain this series, what's going on. And hopefully you're going to enjoy it. In terms of where I see this series developing, of course, as I mentioned, the North American Champions League is something I'd like to win. But I'm not kind of completely against the idea of taking over Jamaica. Hopefully with the new kind of generation of young Jamaican players that will be kind of bringing up, I guess, and developing at Kingston Sprint, we'll be able to establish Jamaica as a powerhouse in international football. That's got to be another goal, I guess, for this series. But anyway, that's enough of, I guess, this series as a whole. I feel like that should hopefully give you guys a good idea of what's going on. As you can see, looking in the background, we did all our drafts. I don't think we did that badly. And as you can now see on your screen, here we are. It's March 5th. I joined the club right at the start of August, so I've had a good kind of 7 months really to get my side together, to get my backroom staff together. In the pre-season, just so you can see here, we were involved in the Caribbean Club Championship. I think this is a tournament we may occasionally cover. It's going to be happening at the start of every calendar year prior to the MLS season, and we have to finish top 3 in this competition to qualify for the North American Champions League, which of course is something I definitely back us to do. And well, you can see here, fortunately for us, at the first attempt of asking, we did win the Champions Cup final, albeit after extra time. But anyway, San Jose are going to be our first ever opponents here in MLS. As I kind of talked about in the intro, there are lots of unique rules to MLS, but not going to go through them all today. Instead, we're kind of going to just have a look at the team, look at what we've done to get here, and then we will get into the game against San Jose. So anyway, this is our team. If you've been following Kingston Sprint on Twitter, which if you don't know, I have a Twitter account set up for this team, so I'll be tweeting out little tidbits here and there, you know, teasing signings, that kind of stuff. This is the squad we have. It's a good squad. It's obviously made up of a majority of Jamaican players, which is absolutely fantastic. And there's one player which might stand out. Our first, and well, hopefully the first of many, I guess, designated players. Here we have him, Michael Carrick, the man, the myth, the legend. He's joined us from Manchester United for $850,000. And I think he's going to be a very, very good player for us. So, if you don't know, in MLS, of course, your team have a wage budget, but every team has what's called the wage cap or the salary cap. And this is a kind of rule that every single team has, which limits how much they can spend on players. And it's made up of the total kind of player wages as a whole. You can see the cap impact of every player here. The total salary impact, I think, has to be below just shy of $4 million a year. As you can see here, obviously we have a few big earners, but we're nowhere near that cap limit, so there are a few more players to bring in. And Michael Carrick is what we call a designated player, kind of a star player. And as a result, despite the fact he's on massive wages, only a fraction of his wages actually count towards that kind of league salary cap limit. But anyway, shall we have a look through the rest of our transfers? Because there's been quite a few, and we've actually made some pretty big signings, which I think are definitely worth talking about. So anyway, looking at the first few signings we made, we signed a fair few players from Jamaican sides. With today's episode, we're going to talk through some of the big players, and perhaps, in my opinion, one of the biggest players we've signed is actually this guy, Jermaine Anderson. Fantastic young player from Peterborough, very talented, Jamaican secondary nationality, which is great. 20 years old, got some potential, 19 leadership. I'd love to make this guy into kind of the face, I guess, of Kingston Sprint. He's young, he's an athletic centre midfielder. I want him to become our kind of modern day Steven Gerrard, our modern day Frank Lampard, you know, a leader in the centre of the park. And well, we paid some big money for him, and he wasn't the only player from England we paid big money for. Another player we brought in, Daniel Johnson of Preston. Really like the look of this guy. Unfortunately, actually injured for the opening game of today's season. He was actually born in Kingston, which is fantastic. Of course, Jamaica's capital and where our club is based. So he's returned home, and yeah, he is the club record signing as things stand. But 24 years old, a very, very talented centre mid. Definitely going to add something to our team. Looking at some other players we picked up, just to pick out a few big names. Andre Blake joined us in the expansion draft. You may have seen that on screen during the intro. Basically, the expansion draft, when new teams are added to the MLS League, teams have the option to protect a section of their players, a certain amount of their players. Any players who aren't protected can be drafted by the new teams entering the league. And as a new team entering, Andre Blake was a player not protected by Philadelphia Union, who he played for, and we decided to snap him up. You can see he didn't have the best year last year at Philly, but I'm hoping he can have a good year for us. Anyway, a few more players we brought in. Jermaine Taylor, great international experience for Jamaica, 87 appearances. Unfortunately, he is again another player going to be injured for the opening game of the season. We also brought in Ike Apara, a player who, I must confess, I don't have a lot of experience with in Football Manager, but I used to use him a bit in FIFA, so I recognise the name. 28 years old. Not a bad little player in my opinion. Another player we picked up, as you can see here, through the expansion draft. Anyway, a few other players we brought in. Jason Johnson, a good player. $400,000 paid for him from San Antonio. He got 10 goals for us in the Caribbean Football Union kind of club championship. Whether or not he can step up at MLS level, big questions, I guess, to be asked. You can see in real life he had a few chances at the likes of Chicago and Houston Dynamo where he didn't really shine. But, well, he's going to get a second bite of the cherry here with us, the 26-year-old. And, well, after his pre-season, I back him to do well. Anyway, other players who I'd really kind of pick out as big players to keep an eye on this year. Andre Clennon, I think, could be pretty good for us. With our team as a whole, I'm very happy with us defensively. I think the big question really is our strike force. We still have some money to bring in players. You can see if we just look here, we're currently $100,000 underneath the salary cap, which isn't great. That is kind of the league limit for wages as a whole. So that's not a lot really, but we can buy kind of players' salary cap impacts down. We have loads of wage budget and loads of transfer budget remaining, so I am looking at the prospect of maybe bringing in another designated player. With this kind of club setting it up, I did set it to kind of inherit a lot of Atlanta's finances. If you don't know, I, of course, replaced Atlanta. But as a result of that, and because I didn't have any more players, I gave myself a little bit more money. But we still do have some money left to bring in another player. I did look at Wayne Rooney. I don't know if I want to bring him in because he did want a lot of money, or rather Manchester United wanted a lot of money for him, but maybe he's a player we could bring in. In terms of other kind of key players, I talked about Michael Carrick already. One of the most underrated players, I think, in English football, a fantastic centre midfielder, an instrumental part of kind of Sir Alex Ferguson's Champions League and Premier League winning sides in the centre of midfield. And really, he's going to be pulling the strings for us. If we look at our team report, it's going to kind of give away, I guess, the formation we're going to play this year. My plan is to go with a narrow 4-3-1-2, at least initially. We've got a plethora of talent in the centre of midfield. At the centre-back areas as well, we've got good talent. In goal, we've got good talent. Didn't really talk about our full-backs, but O'Neill Fisher, the Jamaican, is a very good player, the 25-year-old. He's another player we got through the expansion draft. And, we have a few other options as well. Obviously, you can see here at right back, Jermaine Taylor can play there, as can O'Neill Fisher. You've got Edgar Solis, who maybe a player who plays left back for us. I do think perhaps the full back area is an area we could continue to improve. But, well, beggars can't really be choosers. And with us being a brand new side in MLS, there wasn't a whole lot of options, I guess, when it came to the players that we were going to sign. Of course, the staff is something I had to set up kind of from the ground up. We have a very good scouting setup. You can see here our kind of physios are pretty good too. Coaching, not so great, perhaps a little bit of a cause for concern there. If we look at our kind of team comparison here and you kind of compare us to other teams in the division, kind of when it comes to their attributes defensively, we've got great pace in the defence, but our heading and tackling is a problem. With our midfield, again, tackling's pretty good. We have quite a lot of metal in the midfield. But elsewhere, perhaps some problems to be kind of worried about. When it comes to our strikers, very athletic strikers, finishing not necessarily the best. Physicals, we're a good physical team, which is good. When it comes to the mentals, you can see here, we're very above average in the mentals department. That's going to be an area I hope we can shine today. But technically, we are definitely lacking as a side. Anyway, with the MLS format, just so you guys can see it, there are two separate conferences. There's the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. The top two teams from each kind of conference advance to the latter stages of the playoffs, and then the remaining four teams in each conference play against each other in another playoff format. Obviously, from there are playoff semi-finals and then a playoff final for each conference, and then the two winners of those playoff finals meet for the MLS Cup. And, for winning the overall league, known as the Supporter Shield, you get nothing. So the playoffs is where we really have to step up to the plate and perform well. But anyway, there's a ton of different things to get through. I am actually recording this video the day before it goes up on YouTube, so I'd encourage you that if you have any questions you want to ask about MLS stuff that you want clarifying, as someone who's perhaps unfamiliar with the league format that I can talk about next episode, please do not hesitate to let me know what you'd like me to talk about. This is going to be a learning experience for me as well. I should stress that much. And so if I do say anything that's just not right, you American viewers, you're going to call me out on it, I'm sure, when I say something that's wrong. Please let me know. This is going to be a much, a learning experience for me as it is going to be for some of you guys. But anyway, this is the team we're going to go with. As I mentioned, in goal we go with Andre Blake, Jamaica's first choice goalkeeper. Really like him a lot. At left back we go with the Mexican Edgar Solis. At right back we go with O'Neill Fisher. In the centre-back positions, we go with Ike Opara, who we picked up through the expansion draft, as I already mentioned. Alongside him, we go with Decoy Williams, a very good player, 30 years old. We've actually signed him from the kind of Jamaican team. You can see here, Arnott Gardens. He's played for a number of years in Jamaica. He actually had a brief stint as well. You can see here at Toronto. Didn't really shine there, but at 30 years old, he's going to get another crack at the whip. And, hopefully he can put in a good performance for us at the kind of centre-back position. Across the centre of the midfield, Carrick and Anderson, who we've already talked about. Pelosi also in there, a player we picked up in the expansion draft very late on. Didn't play a lot of games last year for San Jose, but a chance for redemption today against his former club. In centre attacking mid, we go with Ricardo Mora, a player we picked up from Portmore United. Another player you can see played in Jamaica for a number of years here, but he did previously have a little stint at Tampa Bay back in 2014. So maybe he can prove that his worth here. I have taken a bit of a gamble, I guess, in terms of bringing in Jamaican talent, but I do want to make sure that as we progress through this series, we are really building a core of Jamaican players, and I feel like the signings of players like perhaps Daniel Johnson, Jermaine Anderson are representative of that. Anyway, we've got Jason Johnson up front for us, and alongside him we've also got Andre Clennon, who we signed from the Finnish side VPS. So the strike force, as I said before, perhaps the area of question, but I really, really like our kind of midfield when it's at full strength. Tactical familiarity, perhaps a little bit of a cause for concern, but I guess the players are going to learn by playing, aren't they? We had a very good performance, as I already mentioned, in the Caribbean Championship. And, San Jose, they're going to be playing a defensive 4-4-2 today. So this is the first game in the club's history in MLS. It's going to be the first time ever their team outside of the USA and yes, Canada has played in this competition. It's a big day for Kingston, the city. It's a big day for Jamaica, the country. And, hopefully we are going to have a performance to remember here. We're playing the narrow 4-3-1-2. It's a formation I've called upon many times over my years of playing Football Manager. I really like it. I think we've got great strength in the centre of midfield. And, we're on the attack here. Johnson, can we have a game to remember? Anderson, the captain, to Michael Carrick. He's going to be playing that deep line playmaker role for us. Pulling the strings. Johnson probably should have scored. 6 minutes gone. I mean, it's a great start to the game. We're dominating the possession early on and we've had a great chance. But we've squandered it. But, we have another chance here. Anderson and O'Neill. I mean, it's not great by O'Neill. But, back with Jermaine Anderson. Club captain, the youngster. To O'Neill Fisher. To Anderson, edge of the box, Morris. Lovely play here. Clennon, can he finish it? Yes, he can. 5th goal of the season for him. He got a fair few in the Caribbean Club Championship. And it's a lovely finish. I mean, I was lost for words. I lost my breath for a second. What a goal that is. Lovely build-up play. Another great chance for us. We've had 70% of possession against San Jose, and you'd have to say, so far, so very, very good. In terms of the team expectation and the board expectation this year, they are wanting us to get to the playoffs. That is their minimum expectation, is that we finish kind of top 6 in our conference, which is the equivalent of top half just about, which is definitely attainable. I think we've built a pretty good squad, and I do expect us to try and challenge immediately. But at the same time, you never quite know how things are going to come together. And although we've had a good start here, I can't really take it for granted. It's going to take, I don't know, I feel like 10 games for us to find our feet and really work out where do we lie in MLS this year. Where are we going to be kind of fighting it out? I'd like to go straight in and mop up the league, but I doubt that is going to be the case. I did a few kind of test runs of this database because, as you can perhaps imagine, to get a Jamaican club working in America, there's loads of hoops to jump through. It's not an easy thing to sort out. And, let me tell you now, they struggled for a lot of the time, actually, Kingston Sprint, with the AI managers. So I'm going to be trying to, I guess, appease all the AI managers I've seen not do very well. As Johnson's through, can he finish? He can't. But Clennon's there, and he finds the back of the net. What a shot by that man right there. Give that man a coconut. Lovely finish by him. Cannot fault that effort one little bit. Tackle was made, but Clennon, he's come from Finland. He's used to cold weather. He's taken off his gloves. He's worked on the suntan lotion. And, he's loving it. He is loving it. We are playing well here. 2-0 up. And, I'm just going to tell the players we're playing very well. Maybe the climate is going to be a winner for us. The American teams, they're not going to be able to handle it. Toronto, Vancouver, they're going to be coming up from Canada. And, the tropical weather. Maybe that's the secret to our success. But anyway, 2-0 up. I can't take that too much for granted yet. Yes, we've bossed possession. Yes, San Jose haven't kind of created a lot, but it can all change in the blink of an eye. And, it could be 3-0 here. Johnson, can he hold up the ball? He can. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get the ball into the box, but nice hold-up play. And now the Earthquakes, they're coming on the attack. And, they're going to be quaking in their boots here because Johnson's bringing it forward. Clennon, he's through. Has he just got a hat-trick? I think he has. He's got his hat. I mean, fair play, Clennon. You are probably our best striker. But with 11 finishing, 11 composure and 12 off the ball, I don't want to say I didn't think you'd do well for us. I didn't think you'd do this well for us. That's what I'll say. Johnson and Clennon linking up well. Two very similar strikers in a lot of ways. They're not, really quick, but they are fairly athletic players with some decent strength and kind of versatility. And, they're running the show at the moment. Clennon's played great. Morris has played well as well. You'd have to say players who I was a little bit concerned about going into this opening game of the season really have been the players to step up and perform well. And, when that's the case, you can only really smile, can't you? 10 minutes left in this game. I've not made a sub. I've not really felt a need to. Pelosi, Anderson. Now with Clennon. Out with O'Neill Fisher. Whips it in. Johnson's there. I mean, San Jose Earthquakes, they're not the biggest team, the Quakes. But, I mean, you expect them to do better than this, don't you? O'Neill Fisher whips the ball in. Lovely play by the right back. And Johnson, who has got an assist, now also has a goal to his name. It's a great start. We couldn't ask for a better start, could we? We've played well here. Williams, Carrick. I thought Michael Carrick was going to get on the score sheet. That would have been the dream start to our time here, wouldn't it, really, if Carrick had been able to get on the end of something. I'm going to make our subs now. I've left it very late here. I appreciate that. But I'm going to give a few players a little bit of game time. A few players we've not introduced. We've got Scott Coldwell here, who's a good little centre mid, who we actually traded for. We have this guy, Harris, who's a good young Jamaican centre attacking midfielder. I don't know how much potential he has, but he's 23 years old. He's played a few times for the national team. We also have Alan Oti here, a player who has tremendous pace, very kind of good player in that regard. A little bit one-dimensional though, but he has torn up the Jamaican League, which actually has a slightly different kind of time of year pattern to us here in MLS. They play through the winter, whereas MLS obviously plays through the summer. But, well, a few of these players, they've not had really a break going into the season, but you wouldn't have known it. 4-0 the final result there. I am very pleased, boys. I didn't catch what the pundit said pre-game. But, I mean, it doesn't really matter. We've performed fantastically there. We were the better team. San Jose, they did create a fair few chances, but we created the better ones, and we took those chances that came our way. If we just look at the MLS season preview, just so you can see where we are predicted to finish. We're actually predicted to finish down in 20th. Now, I expect that to update, but it is worth noting San Jose also right down there. So we've beaten a team predicted to not do very well. Last year, they finished in 18th out of 20 teams. They didn't do that great, of course. It's a little bit different for us because it's our first year in the division. We're going to have to see how we get on. You can see here a little bit about our club. You know, our reputation, it's not as good as the other MLS sides. That does limit perhaps some of the players we can bring in. But over the next few years, obviously, we're going to try and establish ourselves, foster hopefully some great Jamaican talent, and, well, hopefully build a dynasty here at Kingston Sprint. But anyway, guys, that is going to wrap up today's episode from me. As I said earlier, if you have any questions, talking points, anything you'd like explaining in this kind of next episode that's going to be upcoming in the next few days, please do let me know. If you have enjoyed this, the first episode of this series, please do smash the like button as well. And as always, thank you for watching this video here on my channel. I very much appreciate it. Hopefully, I'll see you guys on the next one. It is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.
And you jerk it out.